Is there such a thing as a blood sport in the church today? Now, I realize that seems like a crazy question, but let me explain that in today's Over the Hump. When I was a little boy, we would travel from time to time over into Kentucky, where a lot of my mom and dad's relatives lived. It was a very small town down in the mountains in the coal towns of Kentucky, and they would have on weekends what were called cockfights. Now, a cockfight was when two roosters were placed into a ring, which was interestingly enough called a cockpit, and these two roosters would fight each other, and the people would bet on which rooster was going to win, and they would fight by pecking away at each other, just peck, maybe a claw into the skin, and the fight would be called when one of the roosters was either so injured that its fight was giving up, or the rooster was dead. It was called a blood sport, and while it doesn't happen very often, it still goes on in parts of our country and in many other countries to this day. Now, I ask the question, is there a blood sport in the church? Now, the reason I'm going to tell you that there is, and there has been for centuries, is that the Apostle Paul wrote to the Galatian church, and here's what he said. Listen to it. He says, if you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out, or you're going to be destroyed by each other. Did you hear that? If you keep peck, claw, peck at each other, you're going to end up destroying each other. Now, to me, that's just as much of a blood sport, if you will, as what I saw in that cockpit in Kentucky. Now, the Apostle Paul couches his words in these terms. He reminds people that, you know what, you do have a freedom. You've been set free by Christ. But he tells them, he says, now, don't use your freedom to indulge your sinful nature. Don't use the freedom that you've been given in Christ to do what it is that you want. Now, sometimes what we want to do is we want to lower others in order to raise ourselves. Or if we feel somebody has hurt us, we want to seek revenge. We want to hurt them back. We feel that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is going to be in order. And so they may have pecked at us, so we peck back at them, and they peck at us again, and we peck at them, and they claw at us, so we claw at them, and then they claw back at us, and we claw back at them. And I'm telling you, if you keep doing that, you're going to end up devouring each other. Now, the Apostle Paul goes on to say how to use our freedom. One is, he says, use your freedom to serve each other. Has somebody pecked away at you? Buy them a cup of coffee. Has somebody said something hurtful to you? Cook them dinner and take it to them. Has somebody said something to somebody else that has now come back to you, and you've now heard it for the first time? Well, why don't you just love them? Paul says, love each other. Serve each other. The only answer to this pecking away in the church is, frankly, it's not going to go away. There's always going to be pecking going on. Sometimes it's intentional. Many times it's not even intentional. It just seems to happen. But then when we peck back or we claw back, it starts a process that is only destructive. And so hear these words again. If you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out, for you're going to end up being destroyed by each other. Nobody wins in this. So the two principles at work, the principles that Jesus modeled over and over and over again, serve one another and love one another. Paul will go on later after he tells them about this pecking away at each other and this clawing at each other. He'll tell them to live life by the Spirit of God. And we get this list of what that looks like with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and so on. So church, serve one another. Love one another. Stop picking at each other. God bless you and have a great Over the Hump Day.